Well, of course, I'm very concerned about the understanding of Jesus. I think that this is extremely important to all life, but Christian life, whatever it may be, but all theology as well. And a lot of misunderstanding has occurred because people have not understood what Jesus was saying a lot of times. And I discovered that some of this was true because I was translating from Greek back to Hebrew in many passages of Matthew and Luke especially. And you know, there are a number of places in the Gospels where the person of Jesus is just misunderstood because of misunderstanding of the Greek, or the Greek has misunderstood its Hebrew as it translated from Hebrew. So I've been very, very deeply concerned with that, and I have therefore tried to get back wherever possible to the earliest words of Jesus, which I'm sure were said in Hebrew, not Aramaic as sometimes people say, but the Hebrew. Hebrew, we now know, was a very well-known language by Jews in the first century. And so I'm concerned with the person of Jesus and how he comes across to people. For example, we have a lot of academic Christians, including all kinds of people who write our commentaries, not just Southern Baptists, but all kinds of other kinds of things that are written today by all kinds of academic Christians. And they say things like this: well, why didn't Jesus say more about his being a Messiah than he did if he considered himself Messiah? So there's a kind of a cliche that even has come down popularly to where people are living today. I get this a lot in Israel. Well, Jesus didn't say he was a Messiah, really, or very little, if anything. And so we don't even know if he did think himself Messiah. Well, my conclusion in working on this type of project is that on the contrary, we have many, many indications that Jesus believed he was a Messiah, but they are given in the framework and the profile of the Jewish community of his time, speaking Hebrew, talking Hebrew. For example, when a man is let down who's paralyzed, Jesus says, "Man, forgiven are your sins." And the man, then people say, "Hey, he's blaspheming God. He's saying things only God can say, because who can forgive sins? Only God." Well, you know, we think of ourselves as, I mean, that's a rather strange statement to many of it. To me, it was when I was growing up. I have to learn to forgive people their wrongs against me, so why do you say that only God can forgive? Well, it turns out that back of the passage is a Hebrew expression used in the Old Testament and known in the Old Testament, in which a special word is used for divine forgiveness of sin. So what Jesus is actually saying is what God says, I'm saying. He's not saying that in so many words. Everybody knows what he's doing. But it's a sophistication, as it were, a certain sophistication of people, culture, situation, Hebrew, that makes it clear. He later said, what's easier to say, take up your bed and walk, or your sins are forgiven are your sins. But so you will know that the Son of Man, which is what he called himself, has the power on earth to forgive sins, a tremendous clause, because he's using this special word that only God could use, of forgiveness. It's a godly forgiveness, you see. Well, if you know just that one thing alone, that one thing that brings you back to the earlier linguistic situation, you see that Jesus declared his messiahship within a Jewish culture in a very sophisticated way, and in a kind of way that only that was easily understood by them, but it may not be easily understood by us. And the fact that we don't understand it makes us ask idiotic questions sometimes.